passion for what they've done to help New Zealand and what they've done in terms of making a world of difference to not only Maoridom but I think to New Zealand. We were lucky enough to be here a few years ago as a senior leadership team, and we heard the story of their struggle and their endeavour and eventually their triumph here in this place in terms of what happened back in the 70s in Bastion Point and the occupation. And you might not know, because I didn't know at the time, that they actually had their settlement before the Waitangi process started, and they were, if you like, the bellwether, and it's with great pleasure that we're here, and they made a world of difference. And that's what our foundation is all about, is making a world of difference. As Antony said, it's been going for 10 years, and I remember when it started with great fanfare, and he's already mentioned some of the people that were there, and a very big thank you to Jenny and Jan, who were part of that, and also to one of our partners, Jenny Radnish, because if you think about things that are sort of, at the time, a great idea that becomes something that goes around the world, this World of Difference program, this unique vehicle that we have of allowing people to pursue their passion for a year, as long as it's supporting our passion, which is about helping young people of New Zealand. And that idea, which started here in New Zealand, is now something that's been adopted and used by the Vodafone foundations throughout the world, which is pretty special, makes you feel very proud as a New Zealander. And we owe it to the people at the beginning who had the inspiration and the vision for what it could be. So at the time it was something that was very, very special, very different. The idea of helping people pursue their passion in line with what we can do to help youth at risk. And it has been 10 glorious years. And I look at recipients right throughout the country, whether it's what Fiona's doing down there in Christchurch, or coming north to what Billy's doing with his gym there in 99, or Paul Fong and what he's doing now at Hawke's Bay, and guess we'll get some coverage out there soon, Paul. You go further north into this great city, and all the people here, whether it's Junior out there at Health West, or whether it's Rafferty, or Cam, and what he's doing, and the huge difference that's happening right across New Zealand. And what we do is we just see it. And as we were talking to some of the recipients today, you're this very special people. And as one of the recipients said to the new ones, be very confident in what you can do, because we know the process that you go through to become a recipient. And there's a lot of people. So to actually be an awardee, a recipient of the grant, and be part of the program is hugely special. You are very gifted. You will make a difference in your year, and hopefully that's the start of what you can do, because the youth of New Zealand deserve it. They deserve to be the best they can be in whatever they want to be, whether it's an achievement, academic, whether it's cultural, whether it's sporting. That's what it's all about, and we're absolutely proud of what we've done over the last 10 years. Just a few quick stats in that regard. I think we're well over 70 different individuals have been part of the World of Difference program, and I think we've spent over $15 million over that period of time, and we fully intend, I should say, to continue doing that. So it's a fantastic day today to honour like 10 years, celebrate 10 years, but also to announce and share with you the people who are going to go forward this year. And to announce that, I'd like to invite to the stage the Honourable Tariana Turia to actually announce the recipients. Turia.
Well, I've had a lovely day today. I don't have very many lovely days. I've had today. I've been over in the Hawke's Bay, and I was thinking about this plea tonight, making a world of difference. And I've been at the Hastings Intermediate School, and it is the most outstanding school that has made the world of difference in a very poor community for 550 kids who are intermediate. They have had amazing results. And it is probably one of the best intermediate schools, and I've been to quite a few that I have seen right throughout the country. So their principal, Andrew Shortcliffe, and the staff at that school, Andrew's not even a teacher, he's a businessman, and he's the principal. But what he has done is he's taken business principles into that school and made the world of difference to the lives of those kids. So I've had a great day. I'm feeling very good. It's really wonderful to be here with all of you today. And there's nothing more uplifting to the soul than to be surrounded by people who inspire you. And today we are spoiled for choice, with a stunning array of 58 champions of the human spirit. So what does it mean to be inspired? Sometimes we use these words as code, much as young people might sign off their texts, LOL. I actually thought that meant something else to what it really means. Well, those boys on the TV show QC will have an entirely new meaning for familiar words like aunties or talent. And just to be perfectly clear then, when I think about being inspired, I also mean a myriad of things. I'm thinking about people who move me. They motivate me to take an action. They stimulate my mind or my emotions in a way which challenges me. And they might provoke me to think differently. They will influence me, they generate enthusiasm through their example. And at this event tonight, we are gathered to celebrate and congratulate the 58 individuals who have done this, who have inspired their communities through the magic that they have woven in the World of Difference initiatives. Tonight we are also thrilled to be in the company of 11 new champions, from as far south as Christchurch to Marae and Manurewa, or potentially with a global influence through the new technologies in an online world. And what always excites me about these fellowships is the diversity of talents and new directions that our young people are advancing. The 2013 recipients have a focus on engaging young people in creative arts, promoting community resilience through gardening and food production, and initiatives to support young people who might otherwise be excluded from educational opportunities. And I'm particularly pleased to see an emphasis on inclusion and accessibility for our rangatahi. And in this way, I think the World of Difference is in its own way setting a powerful example about the world that we want our mokopuna to inherit. I've been thinking about a saying that I've said over the years to my mokopuna. To the world you may just be someone, but to someone you may also be the whole world, as they are to me. So it's a saying that reminds us that no matter what difficulties come our way, no matter how challenging the barriers we may face, if one person believes in us, we can do anything. So every life is precious, and we must unite to achieve a powerful difference for every child, every young person in our lives. Perhaps our greatest focus should be on the 3 R's. I won't say reading, writing and written. I'm thinking resilience, relationships and respect. Resilience to cope with loss and rejection, to be sad, but also to know that tomorrow's a new day with a new chance to set our destiny. Relationships, to understand the dynamics that are always associated with any relationships, are but part and parcel of the journeys we take when we embark on trusting one another. And respect to value what we have in our lives, to remember the time-honoured legacy, to appreciate the legacies that our ancestors have left for us, and to live by their example. In many ways, I see the World of Difference in fellowship and youth health leadership as a powerful opportunity to emphasise these values as the means by which we can guarantee positive and healthy outcomes for all of our young people. Most important of all, the annual World of Difference allows us to look around the door at the remarkable achievements that occur every day in so many ways, at least 58 over the last decade, that's for sure. And finally, I want to just refer to the gift that the Foundation is providing our champions with tonight. The gift of life represented in a small boxed native tree. And it is an entirely appropriate symbol for the growth, the beauty and the strength that our champions have inspired in their communities, their whānau and their organisations. And I would encourage us to remember that the principal outcome of a tree is not just the fruit that it bears, but it is also in the seeds that are laid for another generation. Every tree that is grown is unique. The difference to its growth comes from many sources. It comes from the richness and vitality of its foundations, the fertility of the soil that becomes a platform from which to grow. It grows towards the winds or in a way which comes out of the protection from the elements. And the light balls thrive through exposure to the sun, the rain, the light and the shade. So we must do all we can to ensure the foundations for our children are firm. We're opening our eyes to the world around them. I have every confidence that this is the ultimate outcome for the work that each of you has championed in your respective communities. I applaud you. I pay tribute to your commitment and your dedication, and I so heartily thank you for the world of difference that you have made and will continue to make. Ngā reo tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Thank you very much, Minister. Just before we get to the announcement of the new recipients, we're just going to have a little break to pick one of the 58 people, and it could have been many, but to pick one of those people who is inspiring and has an awesome story to tell, but has also then, through their World of Difference year, but has also been part of a piece of work to evaluate what has been the impact of the World of Difference programme over the last 10 years, and has looked into that evaluation and is here to share some of her experiences and also some of the insights from that piece of work. So I'd love you to welcome up to the stage Annalise Myers, who will talk to us about some of her experiences and what she's found out.
When we got welcomed on, and thank you so much for that, I feel like we're here now, and what came to mind is that in my World of Difference here, I did a study tour to England to have a look and see what they were doing over there, and I had the privilege of going home to Ireland, where my ancestors are from, and when you welcomed us here, it reminded me of that spiritual feeling of landing in Ireland and feeling like I was with the people who wished my future or my reality today. So thank you so much. It kind of just felt like such a warm place to be and to speak, and in many sense, my old Nana, one of the stories is that she always wanted young people to have better opportunities, and that's one reason why she travelled miles and miles away from her sisters, trying to make sure that her young boys didn't get caught up in violence. And so it's really special. That's what came to mind to me when we were welcomed here. So thank you very much for the welcome. As I said, I was a recipient in 2008, and I remember getting on a stage just like this and feeling a little bit nervous. A youth worker from Manarewa who was daring to do something around holding a vision of what I wanted to see, where young parents are safe and secure in their families and communities. And actually it's quite powerful when you stand up in front of other people and you share a vision, because actually in the small 5 years that have passed, actually that vision actually has come true in regards to taking a tiny little project which was supporting mums to be with their children and to nurture those relationships we were able to dedicate that whole year to looking at how could we make something that was growing into something that was really sustainable. Because the World of Difference allows you to not have to squeeze into a funding criteria, and it allows us to explore what could really make that difference. It allowed us to be really creative about what we did. So one of those things I did is that I was kind of keen to connect all the different organisations that were working with young families. And I thought that over in the UK they were doing some of these things, because some of them had come to New Zealand and they had a look. So I went over and had a look, and that's one of the things that the Foundation did. They allowed you to go to conferences, and a wise woman said to me, don't go to a conference, you're there with lots of strangers, go see real people in real places. And I got to visit people, and what was really sad is that I saw a heck of a lot of resources being poured into communities, into buildings that didn't even look like them. It didn't feel like this, it didn't feel like it was their place to come. And this is the model, let's create children's centres and it will solve the world. But what they weren't doing is creating centres where families belonged, where mothers could be with their children, where fathers could play safely with their kids as well. And then I met this amazing woman. I caught a train to Hastings, and I think their Hastings is a bit like our Hastings actually. And I met this amazing woman, and there was, they had big council blocks there, and this one particular council block, 8 women had died of domestic violence in the last year. So this block was going to be demolished, and they were going to build this big flash family centre. And this one community worker who had obviously was very entrusted said, no, if we expect them to live in these places, then we need to be able to practice in these places and show them what kind of relationships can be built from a place. And so she stopped them from knocking it down, and she got them to spend the money doing it up a bit and encouraging all different services to come. So if you had a young baby and you needed support, or if your mum was lonely and she was 85, you all went to the same place. And for me it was so inspiring. I came home knowing that actually we have all the answers here in New Zealand to our own issues, and that actually I didn't want a national strategy for teen parents anymore. I knew it had to be youth friendly, it needed to be community owned, and it needed to be about their families. And so that's what we did. We set about making that. And because it's so adaptive, I was able to change some of the things I was going to do in that year to make sure that we actually designed a youth research initiative, so 26 young parents, including mums and dads, could develop a new service for teen parents. That developed into Thrive Teen Parent Support Trust, and Thrive has a kaupapa that holds them and their babies and their families at the centre of it. It moved way beyond the Women's Centre. It was really clear when we did our strategic planning process that it had grown. It was a different value base. So Thrive now sits in a youth hub in Mount Albert, and that was one of the things that I saw in the UK, that a lot of young dads felt really keen to come in. If there's a gym through that door, you can play pool through there, or you can play with your kids. And so it's so lovely to see that actually grow, and that tiny little seed that I got to hold on that stage on that day when I was very, very nervous is now a place where 3 teen parents at any time are employed at Thrive, and they lead the parenting initiatives, and they lead the young dads groups. And one of the people that I'm incredibly proud of is Kate, who came in with a 5-week-old baby, and when I asked her what she was proud of, she said that I was breastfeeding. And actually, she has continued to see all the things that she does to nurture her and her family. Through coming through on a scholarship, a teen parent engagement and via scholarship, she said she wanted to be a midwife, but she said, I don't want to study until my little boy's older. So she was quite keen to do a little less study, but something. And we had connections with health, and they said we're desperate for some Pacific Island childbirth educators. So she will graduate at the start of next year as the youngest and only Pacific Island childbirth educator in New Zealand. And that's the change. It's not about a service where someone comes in and we do something for them. It's a service where they come in, they see each other, and they know that that's them. that they could aspire to lead their families. And the whole way through, anyone that's connected to the World of Difference will say those ripple effects are within any story of a World of Difference recipient. And I've just been really lucky to be able to have the privilege to do that. I left Thrive when it was kind of set up, and we got a great manager. I did. Got a great manager who loves implementing things, because I'm a development person. And what I took from that, it's like something new in me about actually, when I asked people what principles they wanted that research to be built on, they said, let's pay attention more to New Zealand evidence. Let's listen to what families want here. Well, that's so important, but we don't capture a lot of our stories so that we can share them with each other and make sure that our services are developed on how we want to be. And it really sparked this thing for me around how do we capture, how do we work with young people to make sure that they get a say. So I've kind of gone into the area of research and evaluation, and it's just so nice because it really naturally fits. So one of the best projects I've ever been involved in, and this year it's been really special, is that I've been involved in World of Difference evaluation. So it's 10 years, it's 58 recipients, it's 120,000 hours of those 58 ordinary but extraordinary people working with young people. They worked with directly 15,000 young people approximately, but actually what the evidence showed is that the impact of that rippled out within their peers, within their families, and it really connected them to each other. Some of the most incredible stuff is about actually allowing them to tell their stories, and we've really had the privilege of doing that. So capturing the fact that they've actually been offered opportunities to contribute. So it's not the idea that they want to receive anything, they want to contribute. They've been able to reconnect with their kuia and find out about their place, that they've been able to see mentors and see role models in their lives, and that they've also been able to develop really innovative ways of using technology so that they can capture stories of change that really matter to them. So we've been really, really lucky to capture a lot of those stories. And for me, actually the young people that spoke to me, I think I'll carry these stories with me forever. And one of them that really sticks out for me is a young guy that I actually interviewed in the front of the ute in the middle of the forest. And he'd been up all night on a leadership program. So he was doing, I think it was a 3 or 4 day leadership program. And so he'd been up all night and he was in between some different exercises that they were doing. And you could just feel it in that ute, that energy that he had, the fact that he was right where he was meant to be. And he told a story about how he got to know Paul. And 6 years ago he got to know Paul. And how he'd been looking for role models in his life, and he'd been looking up to the people he'd like to look up, but they hadn't been doing the sort of things that he would really like to do himself. And he talked about how Paul had a way of being that meant he just accepted who you were and who you are and where you are, and just he role modelled healthy relationships, how he related to everyone, not just him. And he shared about how he'd been through the program and recently gone through a hard time, and many people close to him hadn't actually got through those hard times, and he was feeling pretty low. But actually in that moment, the long-term impact for him is that he decided to reach out again to Paul. So how important it is that we have Pauls, all of us, all these ordinary, extraordinary people in the lives of young people. And actually it's not the sense that you have to go and get more help, it's actually you need to belong. And that's what that young man described to me in the front of that ute, about how he saw the skills he saw in Paul. He recognised some of those things in himself, even while he was getting himself out of quite a hard place. And his story, I went home and I thought, I'd see challenges in my week and I'd think, how can I think like him? How can I see the opportunities in my world? Now he represents actually many, many young people, and their stories are woven through the evaluation. And so if you get an opportunity to read it, please hold really closely to your heart that they have a context, they're a young person, they're connected to their families and their communities, and that their stories in many ways represent many stories that those 58 people did here in New Zealand and actually overseas as well. So probably what I wanted to just leave with is I have a privilege of meeting the new recipients today, and as they can tell you that I'm very focused on creating visions and working towards those rather than activities and getting caught up with being busy. But I just want to extend to them again tonight, as I did today, on behalf of all the recipients, past recipients, that welcome to the Vodafone whānau, and we really want to support you in your work, and we're really happy to connect with you and share your stories, and we wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annalise. I had the privilege of meeting the new recipients, and yesterday I said to them, I've got the best job in the world, because this is just fantastic, isn't it? And listening to Annalise reminded me of that. It's the best job in the world because I get to meet so many fantastically inspiring people, but actually it just humbles you when you get to hear these stories. And meeting people who, I think Annalise, you put yourself down, have the vision, but also have the drive and the energy to want to go and make that difference. I respect you all. Right, very quickly, I'd just like to show you a little video. This year's recipients, there's many of you here who were here a year ago when we announced last year's recipients. So we'll just show a short video so you can catch up on what they've been up to, and then we'll get on with the announcements.
Hi, I'm Janis McArdle. I'm a 2012 Vodafone World of Difference recipient, and I'm working here at Vision West, setting up a cafe for their youth to work in so they can get life skills. Yeah, I like turning up on time, following instructions, looking people in the eye, being clean and presentable, that they can get real work experience that can lead them into real jobs. Yeah, toughest challenges, I guess, are the things you don't see when you start. Yeah, there's lots of them, daily, little things, big things as well, but none of them have stopped us doing it. It's been slightly different than what we envisaged happening at the beginning, but we'll still achieve things. Yeah, the most amazing things has been the transformation in the students. So when they get in here and actually have the opportunity to do the work, you see them lift, you see their eyes lift, you see the way they engage with adults change. You see them when they go back to their class, that they've actually been built up, topped up, they feel, I guess, empowered, like they're a real part of society, and they increase in their learning, they increase in the way they respond to other people, and they're getting real experience that can lead to real jobs. It's fantastic.
Kia ora and good day from Scotland. I'm Tina McColgan and I'm a 2012 recipient of the Vodafone World of Difference grant. I've spent my World of Difference year here in Invercargill developing a wraparound support program at Vodafone Young Parents Learning Centre. We call it My Place. We've laid down the groundwork this year to start a radio show on Southland Radio, and that radio show will be run by young people, developed and produced by young people. My Place has also gained its own reputation for being full of students that have got huge aspirations, motivation, and great young parents, great role models for the rest of our community. So I can kind of proudly say that Vodafone supported me to encourage that culture. And that's probably the most important thing that I'll achieve this year.
Telemaking is a training program with a difference. 95% of what we do is by providing paid and supportive employment within our program for the young people we work with. We'll be their first employer, we'll take their first chance with them, and we'll work with them to develop them and support them to increase their employment awareness when they leave our program and move on to another employer. We focus on 16 to 18-year-olds who may have a combination of factors affecting their ability to join the workforce. With the support from the Vodafone Foundation, I've been able to work full-time this year on the project to do the organisational development of the Taranaki program, taking it from the start-up phase when I was working part-time last year. I've been resourced this year to work full-time on the program to get us working more effectively, to increase our capacity and to make us be set on a more sustainable footing for the future.
My project for this year was all about strengthening the connectedness and the resilience of Tata Mariki Morihu and growing leadership capacity among young people connected to the Ratana movement. I've been doing some advocacy to raise awareness of particular groups of young people and the opportunities they have and opportunities that can be improved. I've done some work around funding for my organisation to help them grow their capacity to work with young people and support young people. I've done a little bit of work with some groups of young morihu around creating some creative opportunities so they can extend their leadership capacity and their connections to their local communities and environments also. One of the most rewarding activities during the Win a Difference project has definitely been the interaction with young people, sitting down with them, discussing a potentially challenging issue like bullying and eliciting some of the creative gems and their own original ideas about how we can address such an issue.
My name's Grahame and we're at the Rotorua Youth Centre. So the Rotorua Community Youth Centre had a drop-in operating in town, and then they moved to this building, and moving into the building they lost their way a little bit. So now we've got after-school programs around photography or boot camp, hip-hop dance. So young people are signing up for activities, coming to the centre because there's something that they're going to learn something from or be with their mates, and it's a friendly place for young people to come. My feeling is that the youth centre's now got an exciting future, and as young people will discover it, they'll find it because this is going to be a stepping stone to learn.
My name's Julian Taylor. We've got a group of young guys who are from all different walks of life, all young dads between the ages of 24 down. Obviously here for one common purpose, and it's being part of sharing the highs and lows and the challenges and of course the rewards of just being a dad today. That is tough and rewarding. So it's like a program, but it's a support group where they can be supported with those challenges and to be encouraged to continue and become positive fathers. What inspires me is probably knowing that some of these dads take away some of the learning from this group, hearing from them that they're taking something out of this, and for the benefit of just being popular dads at home. That to me is just like awesome. That just drives me.
Salutulava, my name is Grace Taylor and I am a Win a Difference recipient for 2012 working for Action Education. This year I've been developing and facilitating spoken word poetry workshops and programs. This year we have run 2 after-school 8-week programs and also introduction workshops and seminars and English classes around Auckland. Spoken word poetry provides young people a vehicle, a safe and creative vehicle to get their stories and voices heard in the community. It also gives them a lot of confidence to speak in front of their peers and share their perspectives and their ideas. What inspires me about this work is hearing young people tell their stories for themselves instead of other people with their stories for them. So to quote Youth Speaks in America, our young people can speak for themselves. Is that alright?
Russell and Minister Turia to come back to the stage, and we'll get on with the awards and the recognition of the new recipients. So if you'd like to come up. I'll call the recipients up one by one, and each will have a chance to say a few words on their year and what they plan to cover, and then if everybody could stay up here, we'll have a photo. So, I'll start with Bailey Perryman from the Soil Health Association, Canterbury.
Thank you very much, Ngāti Whātua. Thank you very much for having us here and your hospitality. I dashed straight out of the refreshments before to go check out your Maher and the nursery down there, and it's humming. That's all the inspiration I need to get up here. My program is based in Christchurch. We've been through a lot there, and we're still going through a lot there. So the focus, of course, is young people, but I want to take that to the eastern suburbs of Christchurch and really give them something positive, because they need it. Resilience, we've heard a lot about that word and we've been called it, but resilience is a lot more than just being forced to cope. Resilience is, and true to the concept, resilience is having the capacity to adapt and thrive in your new environment. And that's really important, so we're going to do that through food, which is my passion, and food growing in particular. So I'll be doing, there are two main streams to my work. One is implementing a program called Hand Over a Hundi, which was started by Jade Timapata from Ashburton, and I'm going to be getting that going in the eastern suburbs of Christchurch. Hand Over Hundi, real quickly, it's beautiful, it's simple. $100 to a young family to start up a garden, connect them with a mentor, and give them the challenge over a year to recoup that $100 and hand it over to a new family the next year. What I'll be doing with the second stream is connecting that into the wider community and opening them up to the opportunities that are that have been presented by the recovery. In particular, a huge amount of space that's become available in the eastern suburbs, and it's really good soils. So that project is called Garden City 2.0. So we're going to give new life to the concept of Garden City, starting with gardens and then farms, and into the future, who knows, but we'll just keep watering those seeds. And thank you very much, Vodafone, of course. I'm looking forward to making a world of difference and feeling humbled and incredibly welcome to this family as well. So thank you very much.
And keep thinking big. Second recipient this evening, Deirdre O'Tenney from Marae Trust.
Kia koutou ngā tangata whenua o Ngāti Whātua ki Orakei, tēnei te mihi nunui ki
kia koutou, mō koutou aroha, mō koutou manaki kia mātou. Te whare atu nei, te papi toko mai wahia a tēnā kūrua, i ngā mate, haere. Kia koutou ngā whānau, ngā kaimahi hoki o mātou te whānau o Vodafone, tēnei te mihi kia koutou. Kia koutou a Vodafone, tēnei te mihi kia koutou. Mō tō aroha, mō tō manaki kia mātou i roto i tēnei mahi, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko maunga tani whate maunga, ko tāpapa te awa, ko hoki a mai whakapau karakia te moana, ko ngā tuki mata whaurai ki waka, ko rāhiri te tūpuna, ko mahamuka te marae, ko ngā puhi te whare tūpuna, puhi haere ki puhi mana ki puhi tani whara. Ko kohatutaka me turi māpoi ngā hapu, ko ngā puhi me te rapa mai. Nō reira, ko tiki o tēnei aha. Aroha mai, kia koutou ngā kāhui araki o te kinitanga, tēnei te kinune kia koutou ngā whae i roto i te o mātou awhina kia mātou i tēnei. Nō reira, tēnā koutou. Kia ora, so I'm Deirdre, and just quickly, I am really honoured and humbled to receive this award. I guess my journey in terms of what has gotten me here has been a few milestones, not only in my personal life, but also in my career development as well. And I met Moy Beecroft here, who did a program with me that I like to acknowledge, the New Zealand Leadership Program, about 6 years ago now. And I think what instilled in me then was that in order to really to have success in a career or in what you want to achieve, and it really has to be something that you're passionate about. That you wake up every morning wanting to do, that you wake up every morning wanting to make a difference in. And for me that's about working for my people, for our people, for all of us. And in terms of the inequalities and disparities that we have in our country, that's about, for me, is working with our rangatahi or working with Māori people in terms of hauora. And in terms of hauora, I look at it from a perspective of holistic health, holistic well-being, in terms of hauora wairua, our spiritual well-being, hauora whānau, our family and what makes us belong, our hauora hinengaro, our mental health, and hauora tinana, our physical health. So the project I'm working on with Manireo Marae, I guess, was grasped from that passion and from what I have been brought up with, what I understand will work for us, but most of all, and doing a little bit of travel and living in Australia for a bit, returning home, going back to Manireo Marae and seeing the great mahi that is already working there in terms of that holistic health, in terms of that holistic hauora, where we have westernised or GP services working alongside what we know works for us in terms of traditional health, so media matikite and things like that, and the importance that is having on our community in Manireo. So what the community, I guess, has asked for is an extension of that in terms of how we can focus that for our young people, because they're not as motivated to access the services as they could be. So my job, I guess, for this year is to plant that seed in the development of taupu whānau. And it's not really just my seed, but the community have asked for it, they know that they need it, and they're pretty much the governments who direct me on what I do. So I'm their kaitono, I guess, and that's what will make this work for our community, for Manireo. And I just want to touch on, about 5 years ago, I worked with Judge Taumanu on an initiative called Marae Youth Court. He started in Gisborne and very much is the driver of that kaupapa, and established the Marae Youth Court at Manireo Marae. So that initiative, I guess, was the seed for me then, and I'm now continuing to work in that arena of developing young people and seeing what services they need to wrap around them as they go through the youth court process and develop within our society. So I guess thank you all for your tautoko, for your manaaki today, and watch the space.
Thank you, Deirdre. Our next recipient, Ian Rudkin from the Kiwi e-Learning Trust.
Thank you for your welcome and generosity. The Kiwi e-Learning Trust has the ambitious goal of helping all high school age students in New Zealand reach their education potential. We're especially interested in meeting the needs of the growing number of at-risk students who have limited access to the mainstream school system. Our goal is to provide free, easy to navigate, comprehensive library of video streamed lessons that accurately represent the New Zealand curriculum. The Kiwi Learning Trust is in its infancy. It's less than 2 years old. My World of Difference year will be to help the Trust get some serious traction. I'll network with high caliber subject specialist teachers, developing site maps and working with them to produce gold standard online lessons. My overarching goal during my World of Difference will be to work towards developing a viable and robust sustainability model that will give the Trust the strength to move into the future. I'd also really like to take the opportunity to thank Vodafone. Over the last 2 days, it's become clear that their role is not simply to offer financial assistance, but it's to walk alongside the organisations, share their vision and their journey.
Rachel McKay from the Open Home Foundation.
Thank you for your amazing welcome. My close friend started her journey in the foster care system when she was 10 years old. By the time she left her last foster family, she was 16, and she'd been placed with over 100 families. While her story may sound extreme, it is sadly far from unique. It's difficult for many of us to even begin to imagine what that must be like. The reality is that if we are to have successful outcomes for our young people in care, they first need a place to belong. Throughout New Zealand, we have a group of young people that families and agencies are struggling to care for. They have high and complex needs. They come with diagnoses of attachment disorder and fetal alcohol syndrome and autism and conduct disorder and oppositional defiance disorder, whatever that is, and the list goes on. Many of them have experienced abuse and neglect. And for most of them, this means that their brains are literally wired differently and that their behaviours are hard to understand and hard to cope with. My friend sums it up this way. She says, I was a little snot, but I was a little snot for a reason. If our foster families are to be successful in providing care that makes a difference for these young people, then they need to be equipped with equally high levels of knowledge and support and training. This Vodafone World of Difference grant will give me the chance to look at best practice in New Zealand and around the world in terms of supporting placements for high need youth. I will be developing a model to support and help these young people and the families who care for them. My aim is that we can create stable, long-term placements that are intensive, therapeutic and sustainable. I'm so grateful to Vodafone, the World of Difference grant and to Open Home Foundation for giving me this amazing opportunity. Thank you so much.
recipient, Jackson Darlow from the Youthline Charitable Trust.
Youthline is a charity that's been in our community for over 40 years, and they work hard to keep up with technology to be able to communicate at best with their audience. Reach has several meanings, and some of those are reach can mean reaching many people. Reach can mean reaching a great distance, and reach can mean breaking through barriers. And I believe that Youthline needs to utilise all of these things, and it is technology that will aid them in being able to do this. So part of my project, if not the entire project, depending on how long I spend behind the computer, will be building a platform to embrace new technology for Youthline to be able to do this. And the goals that I hope will come of it will be to introduce some heavy lifting for counsellors and volunteers who work with Youthline, and to be able to wrap around youth who are engaging and reaching out to Youthline in a way that means that they feel comfortable no matter which way they turn for support. So yeah. So I'd like to say, I'd like to say thank you to the Vodafone Foundation, and I would like to say thank you to Youthline for allowing me to utilise this opportunity, and I really, really look forward to feeling that great sense of fulfilment from arriving at our goal in 12 minutes' time.
Thank you, Jackson. Our next recipient is Jay Williams from the Corbin Estate Arts Centre.
When I stand up here, I feel really humbled because I get to represent a lot of people that have helped build this big youth vision out at Corbin's Estate for 5 years. We started 5 years ago, just to give you some background. 5 years ago with 2 people, just with an idea to use the performing arts as a mechanism to engage young people. We all know that New Zealand represents the world in lots of things that are not cool, like youth suicide, domestic violence. And so for me and a couple of others, we sat there 5 years ago, and our whole dream, and we've always known this, that English and maths, they can make that compulsory, but for us, as artists, we've always known that if you make the performing arts compulsory, it helps young people not only understand the effect of their issues or problems, but it gets them to unpack the causes. And so for us, it's been a 5-year journey. Here we are today receiving this award. I'd like to thank Vodafone. When I think of the world of difference and I think about the opportunity you've offered our community and what it is that we do, we started with 2 people, now we have 100 young people involved in our program. And it's not about numbers. What it's about for us is it's about connecting our young people to something that's real. And the arts for us is real because it does allow young people to unpack. So when I think of the world of difference for myself, the one word that comes to mind is the word legacy. And when I think of legacy, I think of my grandmother who came to New Zealand on a banana boat. She was tied down and she came on a cargo ship with her brothers and sisters. And when she left Niue, she came with the hope and the dream that her family would, that she would provide a legacy and a seed for her grandchildren and her children. And then when I think that this morning I wake up to my daughter Azaria, who's 5 years old, and she sleeplessly goes, "Dad," and reaches out to me, "I love you." And I think about my role and my grandmother's role. And even though my grandmother didn't have a flash little title, she was still a leader. And I look at my daughter today, and when I left my daughter this morning, it was one of the most beautiful moments for me as a father. And to know that today I get to make a world of difference like I have over the last 5 years, using the performing arts as a powerful mechanism for young people to unpack and unload. And so today I stand here not as myself, but I represent my family. I represent all of the other people that have supported the whole vision of what we do out at Auckland's estate. And I'm just the lucky one to get up here and to be the face of that. Because if it wasn't for the backbone, a lot of the backbone is sitting there in the audience, and they're like, "Well done." But I know in my heart that it's not just me, it's everyone that supports. It's our community and Waitakere. It's Corbin's estate, Martin, taking us on board and providing us with a home. We had no home 5 years ago. Then Corbin's estate came along and they saw the amazing untapped potential in our young people, and they took us on board. And so to you, Martin, I want to thank you for having the vision and the sight, and also the commitment and the passion for our young people. And I just want to leave you with one final thing. Mother Teresa said, "If we all clean our doorstep, then the whole world will be clean."
The next recipient, Carl Matson from Springboard Community Works.
I say it's a real privilege to stand up here today to receive this tree, this new life, this hope, which was represented in here. I was going to say to Bailey, are you disappointed it's not broccoli? I presume it's not broccoli. This will last longer, and we'll probably feed a lot of native birds for many, many years to come. I was going to give you a challenge that maybe at the end of the year we can all bring it back, guys. See who's got the biggest tree. Maybe 40 years from now we can mill it and make it alright. But really, we stand up here today and we come with such hopes and such dreams and such aspirations for the young people in the communities that we work. You know, I have the privilege of representing Springboard Charitable Trust. Our story, the narrative of what I've been engaged in the last 2 years, I was asked, seconded, bribed, blackmailed, whatever, to become a board member. And I joined the board of Springboard Trust because, you know what, I just love the work that we're doing in young people's lives and the stories, the transformations that have taken place in that work up at Snells Beach, Warkworth and Wellsford. And Gary's here, he founded the work 10 years ago. And everything within me, because I've got 5 kids and I'm busy, I've got businesses, I was thinking, I don't really want to do that. I'm busy. And then I realised, well, you know what, Carl, you just need to do that because that's part of who you are and that's part of the contribution that we make to society. So I got involved. Beginning this year, we were asked by the Rodney Development Trust if, as an organisation, we would look at taking on the Orakei model, which, if many of you may know through media, is a great work which is happening down in Orakei, working with the transition of young people from school into employment. And just through that process of transitioning kids from school and into employment, how that's made such a big, huge, remarkable difference in that community. And so we were asked, would we take that on board? And as a board, we sat down, we discussed it. You see, this is a great, fresh challenge for us as an organisation to do this. And then we said, who will do it? And Gary looked over to me, put his hand on my shoulder, and said, Carl, would you do this? And I said, no, bro. I've got other things going on there. And then I drove home from that board meeting and just something started to percolate within me. I've been involved in youth work for 25 years. It was 9 years ago that I stopped working full-time with young people. And, I was just saying the story that I have with Jay, something within me started to rise up again with that child and say, you know what, I want to be involved again. I want to make a difference. And not only in my life, but in my family's, but in my community's life. Make a difference for young people. During this next year, my dream and my hope and my passion is that some of my experience in life and being a father will help young people transition from that very difficult place of, I've just left school and how do I make a contribution in the community and to society. And we're going to work with every single school leader from Maher in college. We're going to work with every single one of them. And there's going to be a portion of those kids that are going to get stuck and just aren't going to transition well into that next phase. And my desire is to work with those kids and to get them to believe in themselves, that they see their skills, their talents, their abilities, their dreams, their aspirations like in this tree, and help them move and transition well into independent living. So thank you, Vodafone, for your support. Thank you for your finances. My wife said to me, it's no surprise that you've won this award. You've been contributing to Vodafone now for 15 years. I think you still owe me a little bit more. But now it makes having a Vodafone account all worthwhile.
Thank you, Carl, on many levels. Next recipient, Sarah Longbottom from Ngā Rangatahi Toa Creative Arts Initiative.
I really actually did practice my elevator speech this afternoon, and then I decided that wasn't, not that I don't want to talk about that, but what I really wanted to talk about was things and more generalised in terms of what we've experienced in the last 3 days together. And I guess that was really about talking about the audacity of hope that World Difference allows us to have. I wouldn't presume to speak for my fellow recipients, but I think that they'll probably total the semi-story that I'm going to share with you. And that really comes from anyone who works with rangatahi. I think you know, we get used to people saying how rewarding it must be and the things that you must get out of it, which is entirely true, 100%. But I think what Vodafone recognises in the World of Difference is that it's also hard and it's sad and sometimes heartbreaking and it's really, really stressful. And coupled with that is I've been really surprised if any recipient, past or present, has actually got to exactly where they are on a career pathway or a step-by-step, that's where I'm going in my life. And that's not to say that we don't have clear vision, because there is so much vision within all of us of exactly what we want to do. But it's not a career pathway, and it's not necessarily, we're not here because of necessarily what we've done. We're here because of who we are. And I think that's amazing. And I think for Vodafone to recognise that and to award to people who have a faith in themselves and their community, and rangatahi and in life, which gives us that audacious hope, excuse me, that we do for rangatahi and we do for Aotearoa. And that's what makes me get up in the morning, and that is my mahi essentially. And what Vodafone World of Difference for next year has given me is something that I didn't even know that I needed, and that was an outside validation of that self-belief that I do, and a confirmation that the audacious hope that we all have for Aotearoa is being on. The last one thing I'd like to say is Vodafone, Russell, I've drunk the Kool-Aid, you guys are amazing. And yeah, finally to be in this wharenui and Whanapa is just mind-blowing. It's one of the most important things ever.
Peter Allardy from Zeal Education Trust.
My goodness. I'm an AV sort of specialist in like this is going to get all wrong. It's going to get devastating, true. I can hardly believe I'm here, really. In 2001, when I picked up a stack of papers, this whole lot of surveys from high school students in Hamilton, saying that they really wanted a purpose-built all-ages youth centre focusing on creative arts. I really didn't think that it would lead me here today. It's just amazing, and what you guys do with the Vodafone Foundation, that's just really the kicker for me, and it's really got me to where I am now. And it's just such an amazing enabling thing to not only just have this amazing financial backing, but to be with a crew like this. Like, I've only known them 2 days, but I'm sure you can judge by the likes of Carl and Bailey and I'm going to end up naming them all. They're just such awesome people, and yeah, like I said, it's not just the financial backing, it's the support of the Vodafone Foundation recipients, past and present, and Vodafone as a whole. It's just actually incredible, and it's far beyond what I thought even applying for this would have meant. So I'm just so grateful to be using my skills to help the young people in Hamilton. Most people who've studied media arts or music sort of often get asked the question like, "Why are you studying that? Good luck getting a job, man." I'm so looking forward to seeing what these guys are doing. I'm obviously psyched about my project, but my goodness, after hearing what these guys are going to be doing in this next year and for the rest of their lives, I'm sure it's just so epic, and I'm really thankful to be a part of this. Thanks.
Terence Wallace from United Maher Mission.
Kia ora, hello. As you can see, I'm been in the oven a little bit longer than everybody else. I'm excited and elated to be here and humbled to be a part of the World of Difference Recipients for 2013. I represent the United Maher Mission. And as some of the boys say, I'm one of the darkest or blackest Maoris you'll ever meet. But I'm proud of it. I'm here to, we started a project called the End Zone Project, just began in 2011. And to all of our surprise, which was honestly an idea or a dream that was given, I believe, by God to me to kind of give birth to New Zealand. I had no concept or understanding of Māori or Pacific Island for that matter. And to find out that to come to this country, just almost 3 years now, to this project 2 years, and to create a home environment that was not a boarding hostel, but was a final environment that supported cultural, spiritual, education, academics, to teach boys that just as well as being competitive in sports, you can be as competitive with academics. And that if you're going to be a sports jockey, that you can also be an academic geek. And that's what the End Zone Project has been able to produce. Boys from underprivileged areas from right across New Zealand, right out in the bush, and I had the privilege of being there in the bush to recruit boys. And let me tell you, it has been an amazing, and with Vodafone Roll the Difference, now we have 50 boys living in one house. Can you imagine that? My wife says when we left Chicago and Barack Obama became the president, he had black hair. But when you see him now, he has gray hair. I've aged probably 10 years and have a lot of gray hair. You probably can't tell because of the jail. But it has been an awesome year. What Vodafone Roll the Difference will do for me for 2013 is to guarantee the sustainability and of these 50 boys continuing on to be successful and to get back to their communities. Beyond Auckland Grammar School, qualifying for university when the society tells you that you can't, but proving them wrong and knowing that through faith all things are possible. With my Vodafone Roll the Difference was through the scoping, because the same thing for boys, the same opportunity should be afforded to Maher Pacific Island girls. So in 2014, we're going to begin the same project for girls who go into Epsom Girls Grammar and Epsom. And also Anthony, Sam, Annette, all of you guys have been brilliant. These last 2 days, honestly, sometimes when you're giving birth to a dream, you feel like you're the only one that's carrying that baby. And that's what it's felt like for me for some time. And there's a huge number of support behind this United Right mission in this long legacy of 76 years. And even to entrust me to carry this has been truly tremendous. But when I tell you that to touch the lives of 50 boys that will go around this country, from as far as Qatar and from as south as the South Island of Nelson, 21 iwis represented with 6 Pacific Islands represented in the house. When you walk into the house, the Ngāti Whātua are having 3 descendants in the house. Let me tell you, it is an amazing vision of what the future will be in this country, because we believe that through this project we will see one of the first Maher Pacific Island, or Pacific Island, I'm sorry, Prime Ministers of New Zealand. Yeah. Thank you.
And finally, Ursula P. Cross from Deaf Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Wow, what an incredibly emotional day today being up here in front of you guys. Well, I'd like to really thank the Vodafone Foundation for supporting my project with Te Whātara, and I'd also like to thank my family, the deaf community, Te Whātara, for supporting me and believing in the project that we're doing. But when we're here today, in 2013, the project that I'm leading forward with Te Whātara is Movement. And Movement is a youth organisation for deaf and impaired youth. So our vision is to see more young deaf people leading our deaf community, and also seeing a really strong, positive deaf identity in our young deaf people. I'll tell you a little story about myself. I grew up, I was born here, and I got meningitis at 10 months of age. And I grew up in a rural area, so there were no other deaf people around me. I was the only deaf person in my school. And it wasn't until I was about 14 that I met another deaf person like me, and I realised that there were a whole group of other people out here that were just like me. Because I thought I was different, and I was the only one that was different. So I grew up, once I met other deaf people, and I learned about this identity that I had inside me, that was just there because of my hearing loss. I really grew, and I became part of the deaf community, and I went to sign, and I'm really, really proud of being deaf. I'm definitely being proud of being deaf. And I really want to see that happen to our young people, our young deaf and hearing people as well. So I really want to thank you, and
Could I just ask the recipients to come together, and I think we're going to have a photo. Is it some? Over here.
Go, bro. Honestly, go. Take control, my bro.
And so to do that and to talk a little bit about our fellowship in youth health, I'd like to invite Alison Taylor up to the stage. Alison is one of the trustees of the Vodafone Foundation and has been very keen in guiding us and advising us as complete novices in the area of youth. So I'd like to ask Alison to introduce the recipient for this year's award.
Kia ora koutou. I'm really sorry that I missed today, guys. So congratulations to all of you. And it's so lovely to see past recipients here. You've heard mention a few times that this is a welcome to the Vodafone whānau, and it really is. You know, it's sort of a bit like Hotel California. Once you join, you never leave. And I think that's a huge reflection of the sense of family that Vodafone brings, and that all the recipients, past and present, and grantees as well, you know, bring to becoming part of the family. So you guys have no idea what you just signed up for. Before I talk a little bit about the award, Annalise is always a wonderful presenter. I remember the last time I was here, and I want to just acknowledge Ngāti Whātua and the amazing presence that you have and that you share with us. The last time I was here was for the opening of a World Mental Health Conference that I was involved in organising. And we welcomed Mrs. Carter onto the Marae. And I had a 4-month-old baby at the time. And I stood and I watched, you know, I participated with awe as international visitors were welcomed into a place that they had never experienced anything like before in their lives. And it always gives me the shivers, because as someone who came to New Zealand myself 15 years ago now, the experience of being welcomed by Indigenous communities is something that is unique to New Zealand. So just thank you again for the special welcome today.
Sure.
And I want to say that the last 2 years we've done this award process at the Beehive. And whilst it's lovely to spend time with lots of bureaucrats and politicians, and I was one briefly for a couple of years, it's much more special to be here and to have you join us, Minister, because I think this is the place we should be. So I'm just going to say a little bit about this special award, and the reason that we do it a bit separately is because this award grew out of conversations and work in the sector, and some of you are here today who were involved in that original work about what is it, why is it really that the youth sector struggles so hard to be seen, to be visible, to be heard, to be acknowledged, and to be invested in. And that conversation happened amongst colleagues, and you can imagine Pete standing next to me, because you know Pete. He's sorry he couldn't be here. But actually, it was a conversation and work that was done. And one of the, I was going to say the obvious things was that there's a real lack of investment in leaders. And leaders of all types. All of you who have been recipients and who have just received your awards tonight, you are leaders already, and you will grow in your leadership roles as a result of this year. But we wanted to do something a bit more as well. So 3 years ago we created an additional award. So Pete and I, because we're the external directors on Vodafone, so we just get to play with Vodafone and feel good about it, we decided, we sort of persuaded our colleagues that there was a need for another award. You know, we were doing so well with World of Difference, we could do better. And so we created this new extra special award, which was the Youth Leadership Fellowship. And it's an opportunity to recognise for a year people who are leaders, are emerging leaders, are leaders of the future, who will become part of a growing network of people that I think, we need in the youth health and development sector, we need champions, we need people who can speak and join things up. And so this is a very special award. And when Pete told me he couldn't come tonight, I was absolutely delighted. I thought, that's fine, you don't need to come, I want to do this one. And that's because I have a special interest in this award, which is that I'm very fortunate enough to have met and occasionally worked with the recipient of the award this year. And this is, as I said, the third fellowship we've given. And it is a very special award because I know that the person who's receiving this will give her the space and opportunity to lift out of her everyday busy work as a youth health specialist and into a place where she can really grow her leadership and will give that back tenfold, I know. So it is my absolute pleasure. Oh, actually, before I do that, sorry, I forgot to say something else. That's my last speech. I want to acknowledge that this is not just a Vodafone award, actually. This is an award that we developed in partnership. Sorry, Maria, I apologise now. This is an award that we developed with Saipans. For those of you that are uninitiated, Saipans is a society for youth health professionals, Aotearoa, New Zealand. And it's really important because Saipans was created to grow the workforce and to grow leadership and to grow standards of excellence in youth health in New Zealand, and it's a unique organisation. And for us at Vodafone to partner with them in this award, and Maria, who's here somewhere, I can't see you in the lights. Can you wave, Maria? Thanks. Sorry, I'll wave it later. It's really critical that this is a relationship, so that the recipient of these awards gets to have a relationship not just with Vodafone but with Saipans as well. So thank you for all your work, Maria, and it's a really important part of this. So back to the award. Without further ado, I want to welcome this year's recipient. You're going to do the award thing? Okay. You're going to do it. We didn't rehearse this, as you can tell. So I'd like to welcome this year's recipient, from Maher, PH.
Tēnā koutou, e te iwi, kāinga, mote, reo kōwhiri, kia ora. Tēnā koe, Tariana. It's a great honour to have you here for this awards evening tonight. I know it's hugely important for you, the concept of mokopuna, whānau, and tonight's rangatahi, which is important in that concept as well, is the reason for this award. To Russell, many thanks for your leadership and vision as you show throughout the organisation of Vodafone. Without that, this award in youth health leadership would not be possible. It was probably a really good idea to put a couple of minutes time muzzle on our speakers tonight, because there's lots of focuses that I could probably talk about till cows come. And part of my year next year will be to try and explain what a fellowship means. I have a child, I've got 4 children, and one child thinks I've got a part in the Lord of the Rings. Someone thinks that I've got a new mantle alive. So I'll work at trying to clear that up. But seriously, my focus for 2013 is going to be, I want to, as Alison said, take time to stop, look, listen and reflect. And it's going to be a sabbatical where I take a period of time where I will go and look at models of true youth governance in New Zealand and internationally. This true model of youth governance is to see how we can fit it in our youth-friendly services that many organisations profess to provide for our young people here in New Zealand. I've been working for the last couple of years in an initiative in Whangarei, and it's about working with a group of young people who are our bosses. It's about developing a space for young people that they can call their own. The driving force for this initiative is that this group of young people provided an oral submission to our local council for long-term planning this year. And the comment that they made in the submission was that they felt that they were invisible in the community unless they were tagging, binge drinking, or drag racing. How sad is that in our communities? So this award is going to allow me to go away and bring back to this group of young people and to Whangarei the resources that can add to the value of the young people already bring to this initiative. And it's to make them a little bit more visible out there in our communities and to make sure their voices aren't muted. I would like to thank Sophie, who, as Alison remembered to put in there, worked verified for this fellowship, but also for their tireless, all the members of SciFans up and down the country who tirelessly work for the health of young people, and particularly Maria, who Alison's already alluded to. She not only supports you personally in your role, but she is there for you no matter what. Kia ora, Maria. I would also like to acknowledge the support group that has come with me here today, and those that could not make it. To all of you, you add such value to my life and my working with young people. Thank you to you all. My organisation, Manaia PHO, without them I wouldn't be where I am today. Chris Barrett, my CEO, who is here today, Whai thank you for giving me the belief to continue in this work in youth work, a hugely important focus for our communities. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge, and this fellowship is for my family, to my children that are here and that are not. I've got one in Australia and one on a fishing boat. But hugely important, I would like to acknowledge my mother and father that not only journeyed throughout my life and all that I've done, but they've journeyed with me here today. Kia ora to you both. So that brings me to 2 minutes I think I've done. Kia ora to you all.